questions. And with that, I want to welcome Jordan Stevens. How you doing today, Jordan?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me here, Craig. It's always a pleasure.
Excellent. And we've got our first volunteer for their YouTube channel in the chat room. That's excellent. Thank you very much, June. So we're talking about YouTube SEO for 2021 this year. It seems that SEO is more and more important now that we're farther and farther apart. Being able to find what you're looking for, and getting business eyes on your product and or videos are more and more important. Are you seeing more people doing video, more of your clients?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think, kind of add to that point, you already know that, but like YouTube is the second largest search engine, right? So people are looking for things. YouTube's a great place to go. And not only that, when you go to regular Google, you're going to see SERP features or you're going to see videos showing up there, right? So making sure that we're optimizing ourselves for our videos, I think is absolutely critical for businesses today.
Yeah, and for me, I am far from an expert, and you'll see some of the tools I've been using and whatnot. And I had, a vague strategy. We were doing live events. If you know anything about TorontoStarts, we used to be Startup Toronto. We're the most active startup community. We're now the largest, or if not one of the largest. We have 25,000 active entrepreneurs in our community. And when COVID happened, our last live event was March 11th, I think, last year, and we had to start moving everything online. And so at first I was like, all right, I'll do these videos. We'll record them. I'll post them to YouTube unlisted. I'll embed them in my website to add content. And, I'll figure this stuff out later. And that really, isn't a good long-term YouTube strategy. Do your clients come with these kind of strategies or other strategies already, and you've got to kind of talk them out of it?
It's definitely a beautiful point about, everything that we're going through right now is meaning, us having to get online. We need to get online. We got to get these videos like we're doing right now, having these videos that allow people to engage with it. And it shows people your expertise, right? Like if you're a service business and, I don't know, if you're a hairstylist, for example, like showing people, that you know how to do those things, both virtually and in person, I think is super critical. And it really allows you to grow your audience. Most people are looking on maybe your website, for example. Now you get a whole new audience on your videos if you're over on YouTube. Completely different audience, but an audience that's engaged with you. So very smart strategy.
Yeah, and you mentioned, it's important because not only is it the second largest search engine in the world, but if you look at Google now, they have like a video section. So when people are searching on Google, like there's a video section. So this is great off-page SEO to point to you. Every video you point is potential links back to your site, which is high domain authority SEO ranking from YouTube. You can do so much with that video content to drive SEO back to your business. It's kind of a shame you wouldn't be doing it now, especially since there's not a lot of in-person stuff going on.
Google's really looking for those things to do, right? Like if you do a search that seems to be related to your video, you may not necessarily be looking for a video per se, but if Google sort of seems to understand that search term that you put in there might be better for you to have a video, it's going to start showing videos on that first screen. Like you won't even have to go to that video tab as you're speaking to Craig, which is an important thing as well. But if people are recognizing, or Google's recognizing that, this is probably a search term that would be better served with an answer via a video, it's going to serve that. So, making sure you have those different formats for your content is a great idea.
Definitely, and we see now, like on the front page of Google, like exactly you meant. They have Google Map references for local nearby. They've got a little, maybe a carousel of videos across the top, depending on what you're searching for. And the more exposure you can have on that front page, like if you've got something in the video or two things in the video, and you got really good reviews on the map, so you're highlighted there, and you've got 2 or 3 pages on that front page, the likelihood of you being picked becomes or clicked on is so much higher.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, really emphasize this point again. Those things that you're talking about, the maps and the video carousel, they're called SERP features, or sometimes, position zero is what they might be used as a sort of a technical term. And more people are just doing that. They're looking at that SERP feature and they're not necessarily going to the site. So it's starting to become more and more important for you to be optimizing your content in your website so that it shows up in those SERP features. And videos is one of those things, right? You need to make sure that we're showing up in those carousels if the search term relates to a video. And so all the stuff that we're going to be chatting through today is really going to not only help with your video if you do a search on YouTube, but it's actually going to help it when it shows up in a natural Google search.
Yeah, and we might as well start getting into it. It all starts with keywords, like with all SEO. So where do you start with keyword research?
Absolutely, yeah. So keyword research is, it's probably one of the foundational things in any sort of SEO or SEM projects, search engine optimization or search engine marketing. We like to start with keywords because really that's what people are doing. They're typing in, phrases into Google. They're typing in, keywords into that space. So we need to start there. We need to understand that. And the big thing that you need to think about nowadays is that Google's not looking at individual keywords anymore. It's looking at entire topics. So you're typing in an entire phrase. It's starting to understand what that phrase is about, whether it might be a question or a statement, or you're looking for a fact. Do, know, and go are the three keywords that Google would organize these things in. So do is, you're creating a search term that you want to do something. It's like you want to go somewhere, or you want to get something fixed, or you want to learn how to fix something, like a how-to video. No, sometimes it's a how-to video, but it's generally something you want to know a fact. You want to know something about something. And then obviously go is typically going to show up with maps, but oftentimes it's like you actually want to go to a place, or maybe you want to go to a website. And you want to organize your keywords into those three buckets. So that's generally speaking how Google thinks about keywords now, is those three buckets. And if you can organize it into that, that's fantastic. There's also one more that is for shopping. So if you're typing in specifically, I want to go buy something, but that's not really related to what we're talking about today. So think about the first three: do, know, and go. You're going to start creating keywords into those buckets. I don't know. Did you want to add something, Craig? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So, as far as those do, know, and go aspects, right? You start with those buckets. And now what you really want to do is think about your topic, whatever your expertise might be. Let's say you're a car mechanic. So, you want to talk about engine repairs. That's your topic. You start looking at engine repair. Maybe type that into Google and start to see sort of what's showing up there. Start to understand what some of the adjacent keywords would be around engine repair. And you start to build a list where engine repairs ends up being your sort of core term, or what we would call a seed keyword. That's our seed keyword. We type that in and we start to understand what all the other sort of alternatives are. There's a couple of really great websites you can use for this. Ask the People is a fantastic website. You can go there. Maybe Craig, if you have a chance, you can plug that into the chat box so people can find it. But that's a really useful one. A really useful one that will give you a lot of times question-based phrases. So you can type in a keyword or a key term in there. It's a free tool, and it'll give you sort of almost like a word cloud in a sense of all these different phrases and questions that people are typing into the search engine around your search topic. So that's a really good one, particularly for video, because we can answer questions. We can do those sort of things.
So did you really mean Answer the Republic?
Was that sorry, yeah, you're right.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. Just making sure.
For some reason, I was confused that one, but that's fantastic. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, making sure you get the right URL is important. So having that done, you've started to take your seed keywords And now you're starting to figure out all the sort of adjacent terms. And typically we'll probably start with maybe 3 to 5 seed keywords and I start to build up our list of adjacent keywords. Now there's some specific tools that you can use for keyword research in terms of YouTube. One of them called Ahrefs. It's a really useful one that has a specific search engine around YouTube keyword. But basically, you can really use any of the tools out there. And what you're trying to understand is first the search volume. With Ahrefs, it's going to specifically tell you about YouTube search volume, but any of the other tools will give you a search volume as far as, generally speaking, how popular is this keyword? Are a lot of people searching for it? The more search volume, probably the better. The second part of that is taking a look at what is the competition for that keyword, right? So if there's a lot of different websites that are fighting for the top spot for that keyword, there can be a lot of competition, and it's also going to mean that the search engine results aren't going to change as much. And it can be harder for you if you're a brand new website or a brand new piece of content. It can be harder for you to rank. And so taking a look at that is a really important one. The other one that you may want to look at as well when you're looking at your keyword research and trying to understand which are the best keywords for me to be optimizing for, is taking a look at what's called SERP features. Now, Craig and I, we just talked a little bit about the different types of SERP features. And what this will do in the tools, it'll let you know which types of SERP features are showing up for that keyword. And so you probably want to take a look at the ones that where a video SERP feature is showing up, right? Because we're trying to optimize for video in that case. So take a look at the SERP feature, and if videos are showing up, that might be a great candidate for you to use as your keyword. And so those are the big tips that I have for keyword research. Do you have any questions so far on that before I jump into the next tip?
Not at all so far. If you have questions, just put them in the chat room or in the Q&A, and I'll be showing a little bit about what I use for keyword research in a little bit. So keep going.
Perfect. So part of this keyword research really kind of leads into the ideas around spying on your competition. So part of the way that we can get some other keyword is by looking at our competition and seeing what they're doing. So if we have a competitor and their website is, craigscompetitor.com, we go to that website, we put their website into the search engine, and we start to see what keywords they're using. We start to understand a little bit around what they're doing. And we can add those keywords into our keyword list that we already started with. We can start to add those things in because, if our competitors are doing really well in these keywords, it's probably quite likely that it's a good thing for us to be looking at and trying to optimize as well. There are some other cool tools out there as well, one called SpyFu, which is super useful for looking at your competitors. But most of the keyword tools, whether it's SEMrush or Ahrefs, they're all really useful for looking at your competitors and trying to understand what they're ranking for. So take a look at that. The other thing, and Craig's going to get into this a little bit deeper as well in the hands-on portion of that, when we're looking at our competitors, let's look at the titles they're using. Start to understand, again, the keywords that they're trying to optimize for. Look at the descriptions that they're using on their videos. Try to understand how they're using those descriptions to understand, what they're doing and trying to optimize for. You're also going to look at tags. Tags are another really important part of your YouTube videos. And so this is really the next tip for you. We've done our keyword research. We've taken a look at our competitors. Now we want to start implementing those keywords. We want to start putting those keywords into our videos. And one of the core places to do that is in the tags section of our video when we set them up. So typically we have a title of our video, and then we have a description, and then we also have tags. Those are, generally speaking, the three, customizable parts of our videos, the core parts that we really want to work on and optimize are those three sections. And tags are one of them. And we can really load up those tags. We can put, pretty much any of our keywords and just load them up in there. We can put our competitors' names in there if we want, because, somebody might be typing in our competitor And as it's in our tag, we're going to start optimizing for our competitors, terms as well, right? So load up those tags, add all your keywords in there, and that'll really help you optimize for those specific places as well. All right, so that's how we set up our video. And again, Craig's going to jump through this in the hands-on portion. He's going to show you specifically how to do that. And then as far as, let's talk a little bit now about the actual content, the content of your videos and how to make them optimize so that we're, again, optimizing for search, both on YouTube and on Google. The first thing I really want to encourage all of you to do is to seek engagement. And by engagement, I mean getting people to like your videos, getting people to comment on your video, getting people to subscribe. And, probably the best way to do that is say, at the beginning of the video, you probably heard this 100 times, and maybe it's kind of irritating sometimes, but it gets people to actually subscribe. Ask them to do it. At the beginning of the video, an important part of your video, say, hey, if you like this content, subscribe. One of the other ways you can do it is you can ask a question in your video. I actually love the channel called Legal Eagle, and he's a lawyer down in the States, and basically he, talks about different sort of legal things that are going on there, whether it's Constitution or, different state laws, or just really different popular things that are going on in US, whether it's politics or whatever, right? But he always asks in his video, hey, put your question in a comment of an objection. You know what I mean? So making it interesting as a lawyer, right? Like, hey, I object to this thing, right? And getting people to really engage with that content in a unique and creative way. At the end of the day, he'll come back and say, hey, I've sustained that objection, or, I've overruled it. He's having fun with the whole legal scene, but he's asking people to engage with, he's asking people to put their comment down into the space. You can also do prize giveaways. Prize giveaways are another, unique way to do it. It's like, tell us 3 favorite things about your, say you're a pet shop, right? Tell us 3 favorite things about your pet. And, we'll pick one of these people and we'll send you some dog treat, whatever, as sort of a really simple example of what you can do to encourage engagement. The engagement is super important. The algorithms are going to look at it. If your video has 100,000 views on it compared to somebody who has 50,000 views, generally speaking, the one with 100,000 views is probably going to rank a little bit better. But if you have more people commenting and you have more people, subscribing to your channel and liking your videos, even though maybe you only have 50,000 views at the beginning, you're likely to rank probably a little bit higher because you've shown that you have more engagement. YouTube really cares about engagement. They want people to watch your videos. They want people to watch through the whole thing in the video, right? And so the next part of that is creating chapters. YouTube has started to introduce chapters into their videos now. So you may have seen us a few times on videos that you've watched. You'll go through and that progress bar at the bottom, you'll actually see like little points in there. Okay, this is the introduction to the video. This is part 1 of the video. This is part 2. You can create those as you're setting up your video. And one of the reasons why this is super important is that back in October, Google started to release and start indexing content based on paragraph or certain sections of your website. So you'll probably notice it when you do searches now and click on a search. It'll scroll down maybe halfway down to the page to that actual paragraph of the answer that you're looking for. And very similarly with videos, we haven't seen this fully yet, but I suspect this is what's going to happen, is that we're going to start seeing, as you create chapter sections to your video, Google's going to recognize, oh, we're going to send people to chapter 2 because their query that you're asking to is more specific to chapter 2 rather than showing that whole video. So I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that now that, Google is, again, indexing for specific sections on your website. I think we're going to start seeing that as well on videos. But not only that, it's really useful for people to watching your video. Maybe they don't have time to watch the whole video, but they just want to go to chapter 2. Boom, I can go to chapter 2. It's a usability thing. It makes things easier for people to, again, engage with your content. And it's super easy to do. Super easy to do to add those chapters in. It doesn't take much effort. So the last thing I want to talk about is the video itself in terms of how to get it out there. And one of those things is to put it on your own website. I want you to have it hosted on your website. Actually, it's going to be hosted on YouTube, but I want you to show it on your website. And this will, again, get more views on your video. It'll allow your video views to grow. It'll allow more people to see your channel. Again, more views, more of that, all good. And when you're posting it on your site, one of those things we're going to talk about in a second here is live captions or having captions on your video. When you do post that video on your website, post the text of your video, the captions of your video below the video. So on your website, you'll have the title of the page, you'll have your YouTube video, and then below that, a whole bunch of text describing the video and the caption. This allows you to rank well. It allows you to capture keywords that are probably naturally going to be in your video because, again, we've done our keyword research. We've figured out what the topic of our videos are. So the content of that video should hopefully be aligned with that. And so when we do that, naturally speaking, all that content that we've just talked about is going to end up on your page, and you're going to naturally start ranking for keywords that you want to be ranking for. And so that's a really key point for you as you add your videos to your website. So those are the big points that I wanted to go over for now. And maybe Craig, if you want to start off with the hands-on, or we can do some questions.
Yeah, I'm going to. June, here's a question. Do you need speak the keywords in your video or just your description, title, tags?
Yeah, so the keywords should definitely be there. Ideally, we want to put the keyword, our target keyword, towards the front. So when we're creating a title for our video, we want that target keyword to be like the first or second word, ideally. It's not always possible, but ideally that's where we want to put it. In the description, it's probably not as important as it is in the title. But, if you can put it in there, oftentimes Google will do some highlighting. When you do a search, it will highlight specific keywords that are in that query. So it makes sense. It doesn't often impact the actual rankings, but it can impact what we call the click-through rate. So it helps to encourage people to click through your videos or through your website or wherever else. And then definitely put it in the text.
So she's saying it wasn't clear. Are you supposed to say the keywords in your video is what she's asking. And the short answer is you're supposed to, but at the same time, if you edit the closed caption file, like I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes, you can put the keywords in there so Google thinks they're there anyway. Does that make sense? Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. All right, perfect. I just wanted to. You are, but I'll let me share my screen and I'll show you what I mean. Because sometimes the way things happen is you create the video or you've created your content, and now you want to find out the keywords and attach all that kind of stuff to it in reverse. Like ideally, you should be doing this, finding your keywords ahead of time. But, a lot of times we don't. Like I schedule, if you follow me at all, we schedule 3 to 10 events a week. We're doing a bunch of these live now on YouTube because we get better results that way. But a lot of times I'll go back and look at keywords afterwards because speaker will give me a topic and that's great. And I'm kind of rushed to post it and put stuff online. And then afterwards, I'll go back and find the most effective keywords. And I'm kind of going to do that today. So this is the back of my channel. This is a bunch of content I have posted here. And I'm going to, some of these thumbnails you can see pop and stand out. You can see these okay, Jordan? This looks okay? Sure, all right. And I'm going to work on this one, startup pricing strategies, because we've only got a handful of views, and there's a lot of things I haven't done with this. So there's a tool I use that's helped me a lot. called VidIQ, and it's a Chrome plugin, and it does a bunch of stuff. And so you're going to see a bunch of extra stuff here that you won't see when you're looking at your channel, and that's usually from this tool called VidIQ. And I'll post that link to that in the chat room in a minute, so people can take a look. So this is kind of my content: startup pricing strategies with Trevor Short. You see the image here, my thumbnail. But as you scroll down, there's not a lot of here. I haven't added it to any playlists. I don't have any tags. There's a checklist here. My VidIQ SEO score is 0 out of 100. Of all the checklists, the only thing I've done here is make the video public. So there's a bunch of things you got to do other than post it. So let's get started there. And we talked today about keywords, right? So here I am, startup pricing strategies. I've done this video. We've done this. It's an hour long on different startup pricing strategies, but I don't know how that's going to work from an SEO perspective. So here we are. I jump into YouTube. I do a search, and I just refresh this search for startup pricing strategies. And you can see over here on the right, some interesting information from the VidIQ tool. It talks about, highest number of views for the search term, the average views, how many videos added in the last 7 days, a bunch of stuff, average age. But the other thing you want to look at here is this, the overall score. It's medium. You can see the volume is really low, and the competition is very low. So, this is not necessarily a great keyword for me because of those things. I'm not going to drive a lot of traffic. And it's suggesting, SaaS pricing, SaaS startup, value-based pricing, SaaS pricing strategies, because these are going to give me much higher volume. If I highlight this, I don't know if you can see the pop-up there or not, but it says overall SaaS pricing is 70.8 with the keyword volume being 48.4 and the competition score of 6.8 out of 100. So the volume is significantly higher and the competition is significantly lower. So that's interesting for me. So I'm looking at that thinking, okay, I want to add these keywords to what I want to do. So I'm thinking of changing this video to something like startup pricing strategies, value-based pricing to SaaS pricing, to include all those keywords. Does that make sense to you, Jordan? Would you do something like that?
I think that makes sense. It does. Yeah. Being able to, do that there. And I think, one of the key points I just wanted to point out that we didn't really talk about in those tips is actually like the frequency of your videos and how often you're putting those things up there. And I think that's a really key point that, part of that engagement thing that I talked about earlier is, keeping your audience intrigued and engaged and having videos, you may want to try doing it once a week, see how that goes. If you can get away with doing it every day, try doing it every day. Maybe it's like you do 10 videos for a little while all at once, and then you post them daily just to see how that works, right? And part of digital marketing is, experimenting, doing those sort of things. So, as you're implementing some of these keywords, give it a couple of weeks, see what happens, and then come back and, make some changes if things are working or if they're not working, right? So, yeah, go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, and so we see that I switch back and I'm editing here. So I've added the title, Startup Pricing Strategies, and I'll probably put a dash in there, or from value-based pricing to SaaS pricing. And I can actually take out with Trevor Short because I'll put that in the description below. Makes sense. I'm targeting more keywords with this, and I'm going to change this in the description as well, just so it's in there a couple times. So I got it in my description and I got it in the title now. But it's interesting to see that when I did this search, I don't know if this is because I'm logged in or not, that this video, even though it's got 0 likes, 0 Facebook shares and whatnot, and only 13 views, is ranked number 3. There's just no traffic for this particular video. So that helps me find keywords. I think I've got some better keywords for this. And that's helped with, I put that in the title and I've put that in the description. We're going to get to closed captions in a minute, but the other thing I want to look at is tags. If you've noticed on my video, I don't have any tags. And you scroll down here and you see these are tags where you put in your tags, and you have up to 500 characters of tags you can put in. So you might as well take advantage of that. So here's what I do. I cheat, right? We take a look at a couple of these and say, all right, he's got YC, Y Combinator. I'm not going to pick that one. But here we got Neil Patel, pricing strategies. He's got a bunch of good promotional pricing, prices, strategies, and business. The VidIQ tool I use is a Chrome plugin, allows me to just press this little button here and copy. I've copied all those tags because, why do the work when someone else has done it? Now I've gone over to my video and I've pasted those in here. Now I'm going to get rid of a couple of these because they're really not appropriate for some of the stuff, like Neil Patel. I don't really want to compete with him. How to price your product or service. So this you get a good idea here. But the problem is SaaS pricing and a couple of those other ones aren't in here. So I'm going to have to add them, and that's okay. SaaS pricing. And we'll just put that in there for now. You can see you can add a couple here up to 500. The other thing I want to add in here, and most people forget that, is you want to link this video back to your channel, because you want more of your videos coming up in the related video of what's next, all that kind of stuff when people are searching this. So you've got to put, things like your channel name in here. I put TorontoStarts. I put Startup Coach. And I put Startup Toronto usually. Oh, we're a little over, so I'm going to take one of these out. How to price your product.
Even location-based keywords are smart too, right? If you're a local business, make sure you're putting in your city, whether it's Toronto or Vancouver or Ottawa or whatever, right? So make sure those things are going in there as well. And I think, I don't know if you're going to touch on this, but Google's giving you some suggestions as you're typing those things in. Pay close attention to those as well.
Yeah, and you can see out here at the bottom, it's saying, hey, these are tags it's recommending as I'm putting this in. You should be doing SaaS pricing and SaaS pricing strategy. So I'll add those. I'm a little over, which is okay, because I just kind of look at these and think which ones are going to be the least effective. So let me just kind of get rid of that one. Okay, so I've added a bunch of tags from nothing. We've searched some keywords, and I've stolen those tags from the competition. And that's the first couple of things I wanted to do to kind of now get my keywords into this video. Now, my next thing is closed captioning. By default, Google automatically close captions these things. So if you're interested in doing that, because you should be, because you've seen it where it automatically shows. If you play this video right now, it doesn't automatically show those closed captions unless you have closed captions turned on. But you can go here. It's already closed captioned for me. So I download this, right? So this is the file we were talking about, how do we kind of cheat? And I don't know if I can show it here. But basically, it's downloaded this text file. I just have to share a different window. So let me just open it up, and I'll share it, and we'll get to it. It creates this text file, and it's the text file that includes all the timestamps for all the text in the file. So let me change this to here. And it looks like this. So this is your closed caption file. Want to welcome Trevor Short from Songbird Marketing, and it goes on. And these are all time codes and stamped. So I want to make sure that my new keywords are in here, not my old keywords, or make sure that those things are in there. So I've gone ahead, and I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to share a new screen. So I've gone ahead and put those text edits in already. So I'm just going to kind of show you the file, what I've done here. So you can see this. This is startup pricing strategies, value-based pricing to, see, that auto-corrected to SCAs. So I'm glad I got to go in here and fix this. SaaS pricing, welcome Trevor Short. And I've gone through and I did a search and replace. Every time there was pricing strategies or anytime the word SaaS was in there, I added SaaS pricing. And, just to make sure the words are in here. So you go in here. I'm going to save this file because I fixed that. Seems pretty straightforward. I'm going to switch back to YouTube here.
Yeah. And I think this is, how easy was that? You downloaded this thing and it's, I don't know, 2 minutes. You already have a file of text that you can add that to the website, as we talked about a little bit earlier. You can sub that into your site right underneath the video, right? And it's, again, super efficient. The tags took us 2-3 minutes to do. Just added, and it's all going to boost your site, right? Really, really efficiently.
Absolutely. So I'm going to upload this right now and it's there. So now that's done. I uploaded that file. I save it. So if you press play on this video, the closed captions come up with those words and with those keywords I put in there. And one of the other things I kind of did is, this is an old SEO habit of mine. I have no idea if it helps us with SEO on YouTube, is I renamed the file. Same thing with what I rename the files I upload. If I rename the images I upload to reflect the keywords that I'm using. Is that still valuable on YouTube?
All those little things are going to help, right? It's it might be one of those 0.001% things, but when you're competing against the best, that 0.001 is going to be that thing that's going to set you apart.
Yeah, and when we look at thumbnails, right? That's the next thing. You're scrolling through, you want thumbnails that pop. And you can see some patterns here that look good. It's hard to read, especially on mobile. You'll have a hard time reading that font, what this is about. It's not a good thumbnail for a YouTube video. Any comments on that, Jordan?
You got to get my best side when we post this video. Okay, correct?
Fair enough. So I'm going to upload a new one I created just based on some new things here. And you let me know if this looks better. What do you think? Does that look better?
I think it looks way better. Yeah.
And let me see if it automatically.
If it's the audience, what do you think? Maybe comment on that new image.
There it is.
The old one.
Does it pop better? Let me know what you guys think. Again, I'm not the best graphics person, but here we go. Right? You can see all our keywords in here now. If I click on this video, we're gonna jump in to see. There's a few things we haven't done yet, but my SEO number will have gone up a little bit anyway. So let's take a look. You can see my tags, descriptions. I have a high-res thumbnail. It's made public. I got to share a bunch of these things. It hasn't updated my closed caption to manual yet, but it will. But you can see that closed captioning is working, and it's here already. So that works. And you want to make sure you're doing this for all your videos because it just helps so much with SEO just doing those things. And the other thing you want to check out, and I'm doing YouTube Live, and we're talking about that now, and I hadn't done that before. I was doing Facebook Live, and we weren't really getting much engagement. I don't really need you guys to watch that, so let me stop sharing for a bit. But now I'm doing YouTube Live. We have, 10, 15 people on our YouTube Live channel right now. We've got a bunch of people in the chat room here on Zoom. But what this does is immediately this video goes live afterwards, and we already have a bunch of views. Like, you're not super promoting it just afterwards. So that becomes much easier than saying, I got no views. I've got to now tell everybody about this. Because I do live events, I promote both Zoom and YouTube as live events, and I get those views right away. And not only do I get those views, because these things are an hour long, when I'm doing these contents an hour long, watch time is really important. So if you're watching live and I have you engaged, I'm going to get 10, 15, 20 users watching for almost an hour long. That's a lot of watch time. versus somebody who's getting half people watching, 100 people or so many people watching half of a 10-minute video. So YouTube really loves watch time and rewards people for that. How do you get people to watch the videos longer? Is it engagement and getting to comment and ask questions?
That's absolutely fantastic about the watch time and being able to really you're trying to optimize that not only by adding more videos to your channel, but making engaging people for longer periods of time. And I think both those things are really great. We got a really good question in the chat while you were
Yeah,
speaking
go
about
ahead.
the images. It was around, do keywords matter on the thumbnail? Do you want to take that, Craig, or should I take that one?
Well, I'd like you to take that one. I'm using them on the thumbnail as if it matters because YouTube is created by Google and YouTube loves text. So all text you can get at it helps. But I don't know how much that weighs on YouTube itself. So maybe you can help us for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think now that, Google is really smart and it can recognize text and images now. It can really understand what's actually there. We don't have a lot of research in terms of, YouTube thumbnail to be able to say yes or no. But I do know with, regular images on, the general Google search that text in those images is going to play an important role. So I can only assume that that's the case as well on YouTube. So I would say, generally speaking, it's probably a good idea, but not only, whether the search engine is actually looking at it, but the user who's seeing that thumbnail and it's like immediately, okay, yeah, this video is about SaaS pricing model. And I know that it's going to be what I want to watch because the keywords are right in that image. So I think whether the search engine do or don't, is probably going to help people watch that video.
Absolutely. And I want people to share, like use the sharing options as much as possible. And there are places everywhere to share your video. Don't forget Reddit. I like sharing right from, YouTube, like we were right here. I click the Reddit button, this comes up. And what it does is it opens up Reddit already. I have a community on Reddit, but guess what? There are a ton of YouTube communities, YouTubers. They usually have a weekly space for you to post your videos so other people can comment, get feedback. So you need to post them because you want people to watch it. So I post this in my group. I think I've got enough information there. What happens when you post this, it goes to the group, but it shows the video. So you can start playing right here in Reddit. And now this is a Reddit backlink to my video that people can comment on that YouTube takes as a signal to help you rank higher. You want to do that on Facebook. You want to do that on Twitter. You want to do that wherever you can, where you can post these videos. And where else do you get clients to post videos, Jordan?
Yeah, I think all that key, right? We get comments from Facebook, we get comments off our own website, and it's just it shows engagement. It shows engagement is hopefully going to encourage more people to watch your videos too, and that ever-ending cycle. The more we get people to watch, the more engagement, the more it helps us rank better. So really try to think about inserting yourself in each of those parts of the cycle, whether it's you're optimizing, trying to get people to like our videos, and then going through that cycle again. Keep doing that.
Yeah, and I thought we'd take a look at. A volunteer had put their YouTube channel in here, so we might as well take a look at it. Thank you for doing that, and see if we can apply some of these concepts to you. As we're looking at this, please feel free either to put your own YouTube channel or video link in the chat room, either on YouTube or in Zoom. Also, though, June, since we're going to be looking at your site here, the keywords you're applying for, or maybe even names of your competition, so we can do a little research with you here and help you discover some of this stuff. So this is June's YouTube channel, Build a Purpose-Driven Service-Based Business. Any thoughts off the top of your head to start, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm just taking a quick spin through, at least in terms of the header and, getting a general sense of, the page itself. I like the consistency of the branding as far as, the thumbnail go. They're bright, like a nice bright blue, I should say, and you could, it kind of stand out, particularly if you're using dark mode. It really kind of stands out in that nice, allows us to see it. So I think that's really cool. I would wonder if we could, get rid of that white space on the banner there. I think that might be something to look at from a design perspective, just to make, maybe extend out the trees. I don't know where the image is from, but that might be something to look at there, just to, again, sort of up the visual appeal, at least on the homepage of the. How about you, Craig? Anything?
Yeah, it's hard to say here because I can't see tags and whatnot, but it depends, June. If you could tell us a little bit about who you're trying to attract as clients and maybe who your competition is, because, is your inner child blocking your business? So is it startups? Is it business owners? Build a purpose-driven service-based business and leave your 9 to 5. So it's people starting their own business by the looks of it.
Yeah.
So I agree with the white panel here. I also would like to see an intro video.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it might be part of the comment there, as we're looking at the message there, we get the value, but I'm not sure I understand what the product or service is through that. So I think that might be, something to look at as well. That message sort of resonates with a business owner for sure. But I'm not 100% sure what the business does, at least from reading that.
Yeah, and she's posted in here that she works with new coaches, many of them spiritual and personal growth minded. So we're taking a look at this. I'm jumping in, and you've got 17 views, similar to what we else. Who would you consider your competition? Who are the big names in this business that you follow or track? If you throw something in there, we want to do a little competition research in it. Coach Pony, cool. Keep throwing those in there. So I'm looking at this now. Good. I like that you've got a lot of content here. But we just don't know, is your inner child blocking your business? I personally don't know if that would rank for anything. And if I looking at, VidIQ's SEO tool, it says you're, 0 out of 100 SEO, which means there's some work to be done. But some interesting things is 6 of the 20 related videos are your videos here. So that's actually not bad. Because considering that you haven't got tags and that. So if you scroll down the next 20, you'll see 6 of your videos in that list. I'd like to see people commenting. So get your friends to comment here. The other thing that I do, and it seems to send a strong signal, is I'll leave the first comment, and I will, because I don't know how to use chapters yet, I'll admit that, I index a thing and I put the time codes index in my comment. So when I'm, if you say, why should childhood patterns of conflict avoidance, people pleasing, and perfectionism stick, you cover these 4 topics, every one of those, or 5 or 6, should have a time code beside it, as Jordan was mentioning, so people can click right to there. If they get bored, you want them to have an option to skip ahead so they can continue to watch your video and whatnot. So I like to put that in my first comment, and then make that a sticky comment or like that. That seems to help because people can see it. What are your thoughts on something like that, Jordan?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that I would, first of all, I love the fact that we have links to other, content on your website, within that description. I think that's a good idea. Definitely keep doing that. Put links out to your website or other videos that you think are related to it. Maybe, as you're going through this Q&A, talking about the inner child, you mentioned like another video that you're talking about. A link to that. There's also a way to put, cards within your video as well that you can link to other videos, without seeing the whole video, but that would be a good thing. If you're doing sort of a Q&A style, which this looks like it might be, those chapter headings that we talked about could be aligned with, okay, I've asked this question, and then we put a chapter on the next question so people can immediately see, what those questions are, and they can again go to the part of the video that makes the most sense to them. Those would be the big things that I would look at least in terms of this video, but continue along the lines of, pointing to other resources that you have, whether it is in your description or in the video itself as you're doing the editing process, say, oh yeah, I mentioned this video. Let's put a title card there or something like that.
Yeah, those are some great points. I'm going to just stick this into here and jump. So what I've done here is I've just Googled. I put in YouTube, is your inner child blocking your business? And we can see that overall the SEO of this keyword is pretty low. The volume is low, but the competition's low. But, you want a little bit more. I got tarot here. I know you want to do spiritual stuff, but tarot might not be the thing. There's not enough data for these, but we might want to find any one of these other related posts related to that. So this one has 179,000 views. It's 9 months old. And look at all the heal your inner child healing your inner child. These might not all be related because you're trying to focus this on business, but I bet you half of these are, which will help a little bit more and probably drive a little bit more traffic to what you're doing. So keep that in mind. Perfect. Yeah, I love that. And you can start sticking these things in and look at what your competitor's doing. You put somebody else's channel, Cherry Orchard. Perfect. Let's take a look there.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. Keep talking. I just, is this someone else put this in, or is this, yeah, perfect. So we're looking at a second one here from Natalia. Go ahead, Jordan.
So this is, okay, yeah, I'm looking, okay, so very competitive space. We're trying to figure out, how we can sort of compete, I guess, in a sense, when we're in a competitive space.
Absolutely.
I think the big thing right away is like try to get engagement as early on as possible. Again, we talked about this earlier, but the more we get engagement, the easier it's going to be for us to rank. And that's hard when you're at the beginning, right? Because you have to have, enough content there to be able to do that, to be able to point to, different pages and different videos that you have. And so I think that probably the first thing for you, probably to create, maybe a few more content pieces. Really look for, as much as possible, friends and family who can, help build up that engagement. But one of the other options, and we haven't talked about this yet, is to use YouTube ads. So we can do ads for our video to kind of start that engagement wheel a little bit. We can put a little bit of money into it and say, hey, YouTube, I want you to get some engagement on this video. And although we're paying for it a little bit, nothing wrong with that, but it gets the engagement started. And you can start to leverage that engagement over to some of the other videos that you're using as well.
So I've just been kind of following this video as we looked at 33 ways to wear a scarf, which is the video she posted. The top one that comes up on the next is 20 ways to wear a scarf with 11 million views. So I just popped over to that to take a look at what's happening with this. So we're seeing a bunch of keywords, so we want to steal as many of those as possible in the tags. Are we? I'm just going to see if this is. I don't see any closed captioning happening here, but I don't know if they're actually, if she's talking during this. But I would definitely add closed captioning because that definitely tells you the different things. If you're doing 33 different styles of scarf, you want every one of those styles and the wording in your 1 in your index, 2 in your content, and 3 in your closed captioning. Because anybody searching how to do a Windsor scarf or how to do this scarf or how to do that scarf, you want them to find your video, not only the 33. Any other thoughts on getting some of those keywords in there, Jordan?
And I actually, I kind of love this video. It's very quick, it's very visual, and it kind of flies through those 33 items. And what got me thinking as we were sort of looking at that and what you were speaking to, Craig, around the idea of, thinking about our audience and who our audience is and what the problems and challenges they're having. If you're looking for more content to create, that's a great way to start.
Yeah, I see you've got all the different things in there. This is great, but how do I know that cut it short, magic loop, that these are scarf styles? So I would add a little bit to this to talk about their scarves, because in your content here, I'm trying to even, does it even say the word scarf? Right? So, these are all practical, but let's talk about, turtleneck scarf style, Siberian scarf style. I would, really put all of those in there to make sure you're covering it. So people, Google really picks up what you want to do. I like the Google this. I'd also put backlinks to your site or wherever else you have social media, whatnot, to make sure you're covering all that.
Yeah. Maybe a little descriptive text as well before,
Yeah.
having those chapter headings there makes a lot of sense. I like that, particularly in a video like this where you're looking for a specific style. You can immediately go to that. We talked about chapters, so definitely add those in for this video. But just a little bit of descriptive text before all of the chapter headings, I think will go a long way in helping to aid in increasing the searchability for that video.
Yeah, and the other thing I would look at is sharing this everywhere. Fashion stuff is everywhere. I would go to the YouTube channels on Reddit. And so here's the thing. You've got to spend a little bit of time a week commenting, helping other people, giving feedback to build up what they call karma on Reddit. Once you've done that, you can pretty much post everything. There's some basic rules around don't join a group and post right away. Wait a few days, find out what the rules are. But having said that, like there are sites designed for you getting feedback on your videos, to tell me what this is about, promote my own videos. If you want to talk about fashion, or you want to take a look, people are asking how to do a twist inside out scarf. You can say, oh, great, I've done a video. Click here. It's at a minute 8 or whatever. Share these things everywhere. And it's really easy to do that because now, once you have it shared, people will link to it, people will comment, people see it. Any other places, Reddit just happens to be my flavor of the week. But all on your other social medias, wherever you can put this, wherever people are talking about it. Quora is another great place. Any other random places you would put it, Jordan?
Those are, the Reddit one I think is smart. We've seen Reddit in the news a lot this week, but it's a real, smart bet if you take a look into, specific channel or specific Reddit subreddits that really, align with your audience. And again, what Craig was saying, I think, and I want to highlight that as well, is, look at the audience that's in that subreddit and see what they're all about first. As we were talking about, the types of content that you want to create for your video, sort of the same thing as Reddit. You want to be helpful. You want to be, helping those people that you're providing those videos. It shouldn't just be all just like, hey, this is my video, I'm promoting it. It's more like, hey, we're trying to build a community around, in this case, scarves and fashion and those sort of things. You're trying to build a community.
There are specific groups or once a week they usually have a place where you say, hey, this is where you promote your video. Like you can go in here and do promotion, and they tell you this is how you do it. Specifically post it like this, do this, and that's great. But otherwise you're trying to build a conversation, so you can say, what do you think? Are the texts good? Is this too fast? What do you like? Ask a question and get feedback. But the other one thing I wanted to point, you didn't have a lot of content on your channel, but make sure you add your channel tags and whatever brand related stuff to your channel tag, so that you can it'll start referring other videos and whatnot through this, so you can make that related. We had one more business point pop in and put their YouTube here. Ontario Business Central But it's Canada's top-rated business registration companies. I think I've seen them before. So I'll let you process this and give us your feedback, Jordan.
Yeah, just taking a look. I love the header, kind of nice. It'd be nice if there's probably a little bit more in it. Kind of cut off, at least in this view, but maybe, in different desktop or mobile view, it might not be. The fact you have an intro video is great. People can really understand what the channel is, and it gets people, if you end up on this channel page and that video automatically starts playing, all of a sudden you got somebody hooked just a little bit about, hey, what's going on? Why is there movement on my page, right? And it's obviously why YouTube has installed autoplay for, video when you scroll over them. So you see that movement, it starts to get people engaged. So that's super useful. If you scroll down a little bit, Craig, and I think this is kind of something to do, for everybody, as you start to create more videos, you see how we have different topic settings here, right? We have different, ways of grouping our video and putting them into playlists, essentially is what we're doing here. And so I think that's a really useful one, is to create some different playlists of content that's related. I've been talking about car mechanics earlier. They can do a whole bunch of videos on engine repair and put those in a playlist. They can do a bunch of videos on brake maintenance and put those into a playlist, right? So I think that's a really smart move in terms of gaining engagement. How about you, Craig? Any thoughts?
It looks good. Looks like they've done a lot of their homework. They've got the video and subscribe. It's only 43-second video, which is good. Nice and short up front. Telephone number and query. The only thing I might recommend is your website here in the up at the top in the description of this video you're highlighting, so people can click on that and go right to the website. It's something I would do because it makes it very visible and people can go there. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on some of the playlists here. They're put together. The channel as a whole looks like they really did put their work together there. So I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, so I figured I want to click on the video and take a look at, see how they're done. Looks professionally done. Looks like they're missing cards, which is they got end screens, no pinned comments, no hearted comments, not shared on Facebook. It doesn't look like it was shared on Reddit, which is here's some tips for businesses. You're working with business and startups incorporating Canada. Look for, starting a business, incorporating and all that kind of stuff on Reddit. There's people asking questions like this all the time. You've got a whole bunch of videos where you're probably directly answering those questions. So you can answer the question in text and say, if you want more info, here's a link to the video. That's kind of how I do it. You say, blah, 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 blah. By the way, I recently did an hour-long video on this. They'll give you more information if you want it. Here it is. And that's going to give you all sorts of other backlinks. Now, the cards is at a certain point in time in the video, and because this is 43 seconds, you probably don't have time for an end screen and a card. So that's probably the reason there. So we'll give that. But a card, for those people who would like to know, is that at a certain point in the video, you see those things pop up and says, hey, it recommends this video or that video. When your guest says something or does something relevant, you can give somebody an option to go somewhere else. So, for example, I just recently edited a Startup Face-Off video, and one of my guests were talking. A thing popped up where it says, hey, you can watch the full interview about him and his startup here. Great, right? So that's kind of relevant, and you're pointing to your own content. Channel tags.
Well,
Go ahead.
highlight with this video, I think, was really good. They put the keyword phrase at the beginning, which is incorporating a business. And I immediately know that this video is about incorporating a business. That's a real smart move, putting that keyword at the front. And then you have your brand name a little bit later. So we're starting to sort of, attract people who might be looking for the brand name, but knowing that the brand name might not be as strong as the topic keyword. Really smart doing that. I do see that mistake a lot of times where businesses put their brand name first, and then they put the topic keyword a little bit later, and oftentimes it's usually better to put it the other way around. So that's real smart. I do like the fact that you have other links in the descriptions here. You're linking out to other places to go. Continue to do that within your video as well. It looks like you're already adding end cards and those sort of things as well that can help continue that engagement, continue the conversation. That's really what you want to keep doing. So I like it. I think it's very well done. Yeah.
The one thing I noticed is no channel tags. And that's probably just because, people don't know where they are because they're kind of tucked away. Any other thoughts on that?
I think it's smart. Yeah, definitely. If you can add, your own channel and get people coming back to those and saying, hey, here's the rest of the channel. Go here. And I think Craig's just going to pull up real quickly where to find this, but it's usually a pretty smart move. It's one of those easier ones to do once you know where it is. And
yeah, I got to find it. Keep going. I can't remember where it is.
The page.
Where is it?
Funny, they probably moved it on us last night.
No, it's settings. General channel. There we go. So under settings, channel, you get to put all your keywords and tags in here. And this helps people find you in your channel, and it helps you to stick some of these keywords in your videos so it relates back to other videos in your channel. So it's kind of recommending more and more. So it's hidden under settings, channel, to put that in there, because this is, I always have to look for it. So definitely check for that. Also, this is where you change some of these things. So no, this channel is not made for kids. I never upload content for kids. That doesn't mean, if you're under 18 or whatever, you can't watch this stuff. But every once in a while I have a friend of mine, Will Greenblatt, is a pitch coach. He'll drop the F-bomb for emphasis or whatnot. So beware of that. Other than that, we're good. But this is where you can go and update all of that information. You have any parting words, last suggestions for people, Jordan?
Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me here. I think it was a great chat. We had a lot of amazing tips. SEO is a process, right? And it's an algorithm, so you can learn from it, although we don't know exactly all the ways that Google ranks it, but we can learn from it, right? So as you implement things, try to measure it, see whether it's working or not. Come back to it in 2 weeks, see if anything has changed. Keep iterating on that process. All these tips that we've given you today, you can iterate on them, you can change them, and you can, update them. Don't be afraid to, fail in a sort of way. Try some things, experiment a little bit. I know, that's a lot of what Craig and I have been doing today as far as, updating some of those TorontoStarts videos or Startup Toronto, right? So adding those videos in there. And, experimenting with those things. We'll come back in a couple of weeks and say, okay, did this work? If it did, awesome. Let's try a new experiment and see if we can make it any better. If it didn't work, then all right, we go back to what we had before and we try something else. So that's probably the big parting thing that I would give for you, everyone here, is to just try. Don't be afraid to fail and really kind of have fun with it. So looking forward to more of this from everybody.
Thanks. I just put the link for VidIQ there in the chat room one more time. There's another tool called TubeBuddy. I just happen to pick this one because I like it. And you can get it for free. It does a lot of the functionality you saw here for free. I just happen to be under the 30-day pro trial right now. So yeah, I got a little more functionality. But generally, all that stuff is there for free. So try it because it really helps you focus on what's working for your competition, what you should be adding, what's missing. Copying those tags and placing them into yours with that one click is a lifesaver. So try those tools. I learned a lot today. Hopefully you did as well. And we'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much, Craig.